inputs out of the static bank by JamesNES. His tutorials are very helpful. A lot of them are good at bank swapping and bank switching and ways to save a lot of space in your game. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that gets the joke with the picture in his profile. It's like the GoldenEye 007 picture from the game. It makes it look like his mouth is like extremely huge. The the angry video game nerd talked about it in one episode. Okay, so continuing. Um, Following this tutorial, you'll be able to save yourself about 2K of space in your static bank, which is essentially about a third of your static bank you'll save. Um, so we're gonna start by, if you're following along, you go to this website on the NESmaker forum. He says this puts all your button scripts into the static bank by default. That's where they normally are. But what you really want to do is you can move them to an empty bank and free up all that space in the 1F. In 1F, that's going to be pretty full. So if you look using NESSP, I suggest you download NESSP. Or NESSC. I don't know why I put a P down there. NESSC. Um, it's the NES space checker. Alright, if you open that up, and when you open up your ROM, it'll show all this space in your NES space checker. Your 1F, the last bank, the one that's the most full, that one should be pretty full. It'll be more full than mine, or it'll be around there. We're gonna free up some space using this. So you go into your base game folder, your main game loop, base game, and then you're gonna go in your main game loop right here. You'll find the jump to subroutine do handle input reads. It's around line 42. Since you're moving your input reads to bank 1A, you just need to change this to this. And then you save it. What I like to do, if possible, in my games is I'll try to put the scripts in these folders, if it's possible. I don't know where else to find them to be able to edit that except in the project settings. Go to script settings. You'll notice in here you'll have things like your load all subroutines. That's going to be the next one you're going to want to check. So he says in your load all subroutines, you're going to want to copy that, essentially. Make one. I made a system folder and I put it in there. So in your load all subroutines, You're going to look for these two lines, and you're going to cut and paste them directly into bank 1A. By default, your bank 1A should have some random leftover stuff in it you could just delete. You could even use a blank bank for bank 1A. So what I did was go to bank 1A on here. You're going to check the location. You can go by edit, and they'll tell you the exact location. For me, this is the location that I have. So you go in there and you change it. I made a bank folder for mine, and I put it in that one. You're going to want to go and copy, make your own bank folder, paste it in there. When you open it up, there's going to be junk in there. You delete that, and you put this in there. Those are what you cut out of the load all subroutines. In mine, I just commented them out to know, just to remember that's where they originally came from. And then that's what's in there. So that I just put inputs below, because inputs is what we're moving in here. So you did that. Now you open up databank 01 includes, and you'll see that it's all your input scripts. So it says, for now, the code reading the inputs is in another it's reading it, so we gotta put it's in a new bank, so we gotta make sure it doesn't keep. Um, so what we do is load up the do handle input reads. And we're gonna remove a bunch of bank switches that we don't need anymore. It's just a bunch of stuff. It says that NESmaker originally it had these, but it wasn't fully implemented. Alright, so we do that. Yeah, subroutines. And I just comment out this stuff. You're gonna want to comment out the return to banks. So you'll notice on line 66 there was that temp bank. We're gonna go all the way back up there to the beginning where we were doing this. I just comment those out, make sure it's not there anymore. It's gonna say delete it. Just comment it out. Then there's 3 instances of these. You could search for these. And just comment these out. And it'll ask all those return banks that I pointed out and I was mentioning, you just comment those out. Anytime you see return bank, just comment it out. You can either find it by highlighting it or going to search and finding the next instance of it. When you find a highlighted one, just comment it out. And then once you find all 3, you probably want to make sure this is also commented out at the end. I'm pretty sure it's already by default, but it might not be. When you get to the jump script, this one gets really tricky, so you're going to want to be careful with this one. Everything else should have just been a lot of copy pasting. This one you have to do some math, so it's asking you to make sure that you check these things. Originally, it's going to switch to your Bank 1C because Bank 1C holds the info like your player's height. So with that, the thing is those are constant. And they only change when you make changes to the character editor. So you can replace them with numbers because you're just going to put in your own constants. So we said what you have to do here. Oh, I forgot to log in. Hold on. Is you're going to take your top and your height. It says you add these together. When you add them together, you convert that to a hex. Or I think you could just put the number in. So let's think we got the jump script in here. There it is. Alright, I wrote in here, you add the top and height together in the monster info bounding box. For me, in my project, Both my characters have the same height. Their bounding boxes are the same. I'm gonna add my top and my height together. That equals 15. That's 15. I could probably do that as well. My jump probably still works. Could even test it. Now, if you get the number wrong, put 18 there. It could still work. Or I think the lower numbers, you might not even be able to jump at all. So say you put like 11. Yeah, you trouble jumping. Some weird stuff going on. So you got to make sure you get that number right. But you can use a hex, or you can just use your number. So if you just use the pound sign and the number of what you add together from your bounding box, from your top plus your height, make sure I saved it. You either do that in number or you do it in hex format, and your number should be fine. Either way works. I believe this is the left entry bounding box part. So in my bounding box, you'll see on the left side here, we got 4. Oops. Double check that that's the right one. Whoopsie. Yeah, 4, 9. Alright, in my bounding box, You'll notice there's 4 here. You could just count them. I would not recommend clicking on it. Yeah, either left or right clicking will mess up your bounding box. So yeah, left 4. Yeah, that's how far over it is. So you're gonna want that number. I believe that's what we're putting in here. And I think that that's the number we're putting in here. So right, it works for this character. Anyway, there's 3 here on the right. That's 1, 2, 3. So you're gonna put that in here. I believe that's how you go with that. So right here you're getting the top, right here you're getting the left, right here you're getting the right. This was part of the down and A press script that we had added before. I believe this is the speed in which you're falling. Not exactly sure. It's not the physics, so it might not be the speed you're falling. I haven't tested this yet. Um, I don't know what it was in Dale's script when he was helping us out with this. So I just left it the way it was, because when you fall through, it still works just fine. We're not editing any of this. This seems to be affecting your jump reaction time. Okay, what we're doing here is he says the bottom of your script somewhere you need to use the jump speed values. They're translated from the editor differently. To find out what values you're using, you go to your game engine, screen data, object data. So we're going to do this. Game, game engine data, screen data, right? And then monster data. Now object data, monster, object start, jump speed, low, dat. Okay, so object data, monster object, jump start, speed, low, dat. All right, we're going to open that up. Your player object is the first object. Their value is the first in the tables. So there's your low. Those are the players right here. The main and the alt have the same speed. Or jump speed. and then the jump speed high is right here. So this is how you manually read these values if you wanted to read. We got object worth in here. We got the vulnerability table, solid edge object reactions, object health. You can change all these later. You can actually give health to your monsters. When we make bosses that take damage or something, make your player have health. Have objects give worth for experience or something. Anyway, these data tables are good for a lot of different things. So let's it says to make sure you delete or comment out the return bank at the end of the file. So in your very jump or jump to your platform, you're gonna make sure that the return bank right here at the jump through platform is commented out. If you don't do this, it'll still crash. It'll crash your game. So the high and the low. Once you have the high and the low, you put that in there. So for me, that should be 10. And what was the other? 3. And you'll see that that 3 is there. I did put that in the right way. Oh yeah, I put in 2. I even said your jump height. I don't know why I put height. Hold on, I'm gonna write. Alright, I put that in there. So we know where this information's coming from. So mine was 3 and 10. Now we put those in, it should work. Alright, with everything changed, his script is like that. It's an example of how to do it. It says the jump script is the only script he knows that's getting data from the other banks. So there might be other things out there. It's just that that's the only one that he knows of that's doing that. So we're pretty sure that that's fine. Um, Alright, so now go into project settings, script settings, base. Under base, go to edit. That will show you where the folder is. In the folder, you're going to want to find it. System, base. Copy that to project folder. Make a system folder. Copy it, rename it for your project. When you open that up, you're going to want to comment this line out. Game data, script tables ASM. So the include gets commented out. Save it. Go to your project. Under base, go to your game, your project folder, under system, and you're going to want to pick that script that you just made and saved. Now, before you do anything else, you're going to want to open up that bank 1A, and you're going to want to include that file in there. So include game data script tables, ASM. Save it. Test, and your project should load. James says that should be able to save you a little bit extra. A way to check that is also, again, NESSC. Go into your emulator folder, you'll find your game. You open that up, and look how much space I saved. You'll notice in 1A, the bottom here, it's actually got stuff in it now. If you started out originally for you before we did any of this, your 1A should have been completely empty. Could also have picked, instead of 1A, we could have picked 19 or 14 by theory. You'll notice that 1D is open by theory. Also 11. But here's the deal. This is what I wanted to mention to everybody. If you look your project settings, the way Joe has it set up gives you a good idea of where stuff goes by default. You look at your banks, tells you your screen data goes in the lower number banks until you get up to about 10. Then there's your data for your art, your tile sets and stuff. There's your monster tile sets. There's your game object tile set. Reference tables, object behaviors, overflow logic, text. So right now I don't have any text. My 19 is empty. As we start adding text, that will fill up. You notice that 1A, it says empty. That by default doesn't have anything. We could rename that. Put down like inputs. Go to change. Bank 1A. But inputs. And extra space for now. Your music will be a 1B. Your animation, your physics. I don't know what LUTs means. Maybe someone can put that in the comments. But your animations, your physics. 1D is empty by default, and 1E is your extra char bank. So 1E is that's where we put our extra art, I believe. But 1D, that's going to stay empty. We're not using that for anything. So when we need more space, we have 1A and we have 1D we can use. Those two we could try to use to fill up space from other banks. Okay, so those two right now are pretty empty. For now, that should have saved us a lot of space. And that concludes this part of the tutorial process. The reason why we saved a lot of space is to add a lot more features to our game. I hope you enjoyed this video and you have a great day. Thank you.